will not be shown on the recording. I don't know about people who just have their names big. I don't know. We'll find out. I think it does take away your name on the recording for privacy. So we're recording. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start. So good morning, everybody. A rainy day. We've had some nice sunny days for a while in Portland. Hopefully with the rain, people will be coming into the gallery today. And there's a great reason to come into the gallery today. And that is Dawn Panttaja and Gia Whitlock's beautiful, beautiful sort of homage to spring. Dawn's ceramics, as you'll see, really pull from spring colors, and she has lovely little sprites and imaginary characters. It makes me think of A Midsummer Night's Dream. And then Gia, of course, does these beautiful floral still lifes, but you know, they're not what you think, what I think anyway. When I hear floral still life, they go way beyond that and they're exciting. And both of them have allowed us into their studio today. And we're going to get to see a little demo. I think Dawn has some slides, and then Gia is going to work live without a net, I believe, in her studio. So that'll come second. So let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, we have plenty of people here, so people can join as they come in, and we'll just get started with Dawn. I'm going to pin you, and you're also going to share your screen, right?
Excellent.
Okay.
Yes.
So, thank you, Dawn.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to my studio. Not many people get to come up here. I know my mom Phil has been up here. Kelsey's been up here before, but it's sort of a secret area in our house. It's at the top of the attic stairs. And I'm going to give you a little slideshow tour of my space. Well, here's a piece of the work that I have in the show. So, oh, it's so formal, it's so clean. Well, you should see where this is made. All right, so I work in my backyard. I have a very old Lockerbie kick wheel. I traded it to my friend Ferris. I had an old couch in my garage, and she said, I want that couch. And I said, I want that potter's wheel. And we traded it about 20 years ago before I even started throwing. So it's lived in my patio. It means I can only throw about 6 months out of the year. Sometimes it's too wet, sometimes it's too cold. Springtime and fall are the most wonderful times to throw. So I have a lovely area in our patio for me to work on the wheel. And these are the pieces, two of the pieces I have in the show, and they're drying. This is my favorite stage of clay work. It's when the work has been made, it's been compressed, it's slowly drying, and it's getting ready to be fired. And that there's lots of plastic up here because I'm always having my clay wrapped in plastic. So how do I get it to this spot? The forms were thrown on the wheel, but where do I get these figures? Well, it's up here. Okay, so I'm looking down the stairs into the main house, but if you walk up the stairs, you come into the landing of the attic. And that's where my studio is. So as you walk up the stairs, you pass the magical door that has all my costumes. So if you go in there, you have this place where you can crawl through, and there's boxes and boxes and boxes of costumes. It runs the whole length of the house, and it has an angled roof. And I have a lovely window. And this is where the magic happens. It is my workspace. So it usually looks exactly like this. In fact, it looks like this right now. When it's a little calmer and I'm actually working on a piece, I'll have it on my banding wheel and I will work, and the light is just lovely. It has 2 windows and it has a heater vent, which is really important. The rest of the attic does not have heat. So that's why I work in the landing and not in the actual room of the attic, because the room of the attic is difficult when it's winter or even when it's summer because it gets very hot, but there's a nice cross breeze here. Okay, it's on the 2nd floor and it's great because I can look down out the window to the neighbors. And the evening, it is just gorgeous. I love my studio at twilight. And I work mostly at night. I'm very busy in the day. I like to cook. I like to buzz around and do things. So I find myself in the evening working in the studio, and sometimes I'll find it's been 4 or 5 hours and I haven't even sat up. So this is a great place to get lost in. And as you can see, it's my favorite drinking cup right there, made by Ginger Steele. I absolutely adore her work, and I have a teapot on my table right now and a cup, and I'm drinking my turmeric tea. So when I make a doll, it's made out of pieces of clay. They're not cast, they're not slip molded. You can see in my hand, there's just a chunk of clay, and it's going to become a leg for this girl. When I do hands and arms, they start off very informal, as I should say. And I'm just sort of getting the idea of the piece, and I fine tune it, and they become this. So this is one of my larger dolls that actually has joints here at the wrist, which is my favorite way to make them, because then you can very much express them and move them, and you have less visible appended, like you're not using as many of the Victorian boot buttons to connect them. You're just lacing all the way through the piece. And here she is, almost done. This was a piece that I did for a show about the X-Ray Cafe and Satyricon and all of my friends in the early Portland days in the 90s. And that's a portrait of Kitty Diggins. And that's her, one of her stage pictures right there. So when I finish a piece, I have to let it dry for a really long time. The thing that will ruin your sculpture is drying it in a hurry or bending it around and messing with it, because the clay will remember everything you do to it. If you've bent that neck too many times, it will crack once it dries. So you very slowly dry the piece. And once it's dry, these are pieces from my show that's up right now, I let it dry even more. So I uncover them and I let them just sit for maybe a week, because the main reason a piece will explode in the kiln is you haven't dried it properly. They used to always say it's trapped air. Well, I've heard it really isn't so much trapped air. It's molecular water it's water that hasn't dried all the way. The molecular water will not leave until you actually fire it in the kiln. So, but you need to make it bone dry. And this have a very beautiful luminous white to them because I brushed them with a ceramic, a porcelain slip. So I take porcelain clay, I dry it, I grind it down, I add water to it, and then I paint the surface of my stoneware with porcelain. So I have the versatility of working in stoneware, which is not so finicky, and I can get the surface of the porcelain. Okay, my brushes. I love brushes. I probably ruin a million brushes because I use them for clay all the time. I try to keep one cup of, oh, these are only for glaze, and then I forget and I use them for clay. But I have so many brushes, I haven't had to buy brushes for years because I just collect them everywhere. If I see them at thrift shops, I used to teach children's art classes. So I have probably hundreds of brushes in my studio, and I'm always going through them. And I love underglaze. When you hear a term underglaze, it means a ceramic clay that is mixed with either a mason stain or an oxide. It's a colored clay. And for a while, I was mixing my own underglazes, but I found I just really enjoy using them straight out of the bottle. I have to say that. So here are my different selections of ones. They all react different. You can mix and match the colors. And here's a sample of what they look like. I test tiles all the time. So I will paint and unglaze on something. And the first step of a test tile is just to see how they look once they've been taken to cone 5, which is what I fire at. Sometimes I will add an oxide wash over them and see how it looks then. So the next thing are the oxide washes, and these are very liquidy. They're not glazes, they're not underglazes. They're merely colorants, like minerals and oxides mixed with like an oil and a little bit of a flux, a little water, and they sort of spread on and they go in the crevices, and then you wipe them off. And that's where you get all the nice little detail. Like if you do carving, you can get relief, you can see the things that you carved by putting some oxides on it and then wiping it back. And this is a good showing of it. I have these sample heads that I made, and then I put the oxides on and wiped them back. And where I didn't wipe them very much, you can see the darker color. This is rutile. I love this one the most. I use that a lot. And there's a copper, I think the Copper Girls over there. I use that a lot. And I use some glaze, not a lot of glaze. Glaze means that it has a silica, it has a glass former in it. It will sometimes be matte, it'll sometimes be smooth and glossy, and sometimes sort of be fat and full looking. I use glaze when I think I need a thicker surface, but I love just the clay. So I wanted to go back to this girl, Kitty, and that's her in the greenware stage where I'm just building her and she's not dried at all, and then fired with glaze. Now this is early work. This is about 3 years ago. It's a show I did at Gardino Gallery, and they're very large dolls, and they're much more cartoon aspect than I do at this point. But I loved her. Kitty was an amazing cabaret. She is an amazing cabaret performer in Portland here. And so you can see the glaze, you can see the natural clay, and then a little bit of dressing. For the same show, I did a portrait of my friend Iona, who is also a cabaret performer. And I did Ernest Truly. I don't do boys very often, but I did a few. And here is Stormy Vigil. Let's see, I can zoom in a little bit. And here you can see the red is a underglaze. So it's very flat, basic colored clay. And then I brushed black over it, a black oxide wash, and wiped it off. And then I put a little glaze, the shininess on his boots and his hair and all of that. And there's the shiny glaze on top of the stars. Let's go back. And my favorite piece, this is in my bedroom right now. This is one of the performers who used to go around smashing TV sets with an axe on stage during his singing thing with the band Gashtig. So it's my portrait of Jason. But I love that piece. Okay, and my friend Jerry Ann. And what the thing about this show is I put portrait pictures on our gallery talk of my friends in our natural habitat in the clubs. Jerry Ann was my partner in a band called the Francis Farmer Gals, and there she is right there. So this is my homage to Jerry Ann. And then I also do strange things like my Bride in the Box, which my husband owns right now because it's too creepy. And I have dolls in the gallery right now. These are my little tiny ones, my 8-inch dolls, and they are the red and black Victorian and the Magic 8 Ball and the Good Girl in a Handbasket. So I'm always exploring things. I like making different size dolls. I like making different types of things. And when someone buys a doll, they often send me a picture of them in their new home. So Stephanie Brockway bought this girl from a Gardino Gallery show a long time ago, and she sent me the picture of her in her new home. And my friend Chris sent me a picture of her doll in her home. So I didn't take these photos. These were taken by friends who bought the dolls. And what is my inspiration? Everything. Most of all, I love my little boombox. I listen to books on CD, or nowadays I often listen to them on audio from my little companion, my iPad from YouTube. So I listen to people reading to me. Sometimes I listen to music, and the studio is filled with books. The whole other part of the attic is full of art books and different things, but the things I'm working on, I keep near me all the time. And then I just have stuff. My drawing pencils are in that yellow box. I'm always looking at figures that give me inspiration. I'm setting up little vignettes. These are the first figures I ever made when I was in high school. There's a clown and a dancer. And those are things that I did at summer camp. And then I hadn't ever touched clay again until I was about 40. So I've only been actually seriously working in clay for about 18 years now, but I did it when I was younger for a summer and fell in love. And I collected figures when I was a child. So I've always loved little ceramic figures. This one belonged to my grandmother, my Nana. And this is my other grandmother, my Noni. She had those. And then I make things, and some things never get sold. They just get kept because I love them. I have this creepy doll and my figure and just bits and pieces. And then I have these I did not make, but I love these guys. They inspire me all the time, these little things. And here we are back at the studio. And I'm going to stop sharing and open up my bag of clay. So good, I stopped sharing, I think, right? Okay, this is my clay. I use a thing called white salmon. It's a mid-range, which means you fire it to about cone 5 or 6. And they're really heavy. This is 25 pounds of clay, and I'm going to carry it up the stairs. They come in boxes of 2 bags, so I always have to break them up because it's just too heavy for me to carry. But I have my handy wire tool, and you can just slice off the clay like that. And if I was going to make a doll, this is about the clay size that you would use for a medium-sized doll. And I'm going to put this guy down. And turn my screen. Can you see that okay? I think hopefully you can. Yeah. And let's say I was going to make a body. I might start like this. I think I need to move this up just a little bit. And I would move it around. I'd give it a basic body sort of shape. You make a little head, neck thing. And I just sort of cube the clay out right away to know what I'm looking at. So this might be the arms. Ah, that's good for the legs. I would smoosh that out longer. I do not, I can't even think of the word because I never do it. When you knead your clay, when you, that's so funny. I cannot think of the word because I never mess with the clay. I take it straight out of the bag, even when I am throwing on the wheel. If you buy good clay, and I get it from Georgie's, it is pretty much ready to go. So
Kelsey says wedging. Is that
wedging?
Okay.
Wedging. Yes.
Thank you, people in the chat. And so MG asked, what stoneware are you using? And is that when you were referring to the white salmon?
I use white salmon, yes, and I love it. It is so. I don't use grog. If you have grog in your clay, it's little tiny bits of granular clay, and some people swear by it to make it stronger. And if you're making a really big structure, you might want to have grog in your clay. I find it just gives you a bumpy surface when you're finishing. And I'm just not a bumpy person. As you can tell by the stuff I love Rococo, I love French, I love Renaissance sculpture, I love Rodin. I like smoothish surfaces. So basically, I would be messing with this until it looks like a leg. And once it looked like a leg, I'd cut it in half so that I have a thigh and I'd have a calf. And what I'm going to do now is, through the magic of Julia Child. Ooh, what do we have here in the oven? Oh, I don't know. I think I made it already. Oh, we have doll parts already. So as you see, I keep it covered for a really long time. I started these 2 weeks ago, and they're just about ready to start drying. And I made some really funny little people. I got inspired because Gia said that she found some Cupid dolls and things in her family giveaways. And I thought, oh, Cupid dolls. Okay, that's pretty cool. So I started working on demonic Cupid dolls. And I have these little guys here. So I've got little people that I'm making. So they're all different sizes. I thought I'd make them, they're almost like trolls. So I made 3 of them. These might end up at the Gardino toy show. They might end up in Side Street Arts. I don't know. I'm going to be making lots of dolls in the next month and then dividing them between a group show that I've been invited to and into Side Street. But you can see how I put the hole through the leg. This leg is not hollow, but this body is hollow. And if somebody has a question and no one wants to ask me about it, you can do that.
Somebody's already claiming the Cupid dolls.
So
Yeah.
what we can do is we can take that information and get back to them, because
I think the demonic Cupid dolls is the phrase of the day.
it may need to go through the Gardino show. If this ends up being, I have to come up with something good for that show and good for Side Street Arts as well. So I'll have to see where it goes. So most of my work has been at Side Street Arts for the last 2 years. I haven't really done other shows. Here's another way that I keep my work. I keep it in these little Tupperware boxes. And here's a doll that I started a month ago. And I sort of let her go. I was too busy to really work on her. So I started, she's a little 8-inch doll. And it's funny, the 8-inch dolls are harder than the big dolls, but no one will pay you more for a little doll than big ones. But I find the little ones so intriguing. My mother had Nancy Ann dolls when she was little, and I had a few Madame Alexanders, and I'm just so intrigued by this little doll format. So I don't like really Barbies, so I don't like that look. But so I make them anyway. And lately they've been priced very reasonable, like at $95 each. So my 8-inch dolls have been, they're a labor of love, because it's much harder to make something small than it is to make something big.
So Kelsey is asking, I know some of the questions we can wait till after, but I think as you're doing the process, Kelsey's asking how we make the torso, how you make the torso hollow.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Let's see if I have something. Okay, where did I put it? This might be too hard to work with because it's been sitting around and I forgot about it. Okay, here's a very rough head. I haven't done anything to it. It's a little bit too hard too. I'm going to take my wire tool and I'm going to cut its brain open. There we go. So what you do is you take your scooping tool, which, where is that? Ah, there we go.
You're not forming it like as a hollow thing as you're doing it. You
No.
have to scoop it out.
No, sometimes the big Cupid doll body, because it was so big, I did, actually no, but I still cut it open. I did form it a little hollow, but I had a teacher named Roxanne Jackson, and she taught me about molding things whole and then hollowing them out. And then you can use the thing which is inside to do all your detail. So I'm going to, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm carving it in, and and if it's pretty dry, you can get pretty thin on your form. And I would do it on this side too. Oh, so you can see me. So yeah, I sculpt the doll first, and then as they start to dry, and I don't do too much detail because it gets messed up as you hollow it. And then for her, I would put a hole in her head since she's a doll. And I take my little tube and push it through. You can see it comes through. So here I've got, and I would keep hollowing that and make it really smooth. And you'd put a little, for my dolls to make their head swivel, I make little tiny circles with a hole through it, and I put it inside. And I pray that it doesn't stick to wherever I'm doing. So that's why I make it nice and smooth and a big enough thing. So when it gets sealed, where's my pokey tool? I know that in school, we always call these pokey tools. I think they're called a bioprobe. Our teacher would keep saying, it's a bioprobe. No, it's the pokey tool. And you pokey tool on both sides. And then you get, I am not a slip person. Some people use slip. I use water or vinegar, but my water gets pretty slippy after a while because it gets dirty. So I just use whatever water I'm using. So I got it, scored it, and then I got it wet. And now I'm going to stick it together and scrunch it. And I'll keep scrunching it. And sometimes I'll add clay to the outside, but that usually will hold. So you sculpt whole, and then you can even, like if it's a big sculpture, I've made really big things, and you hollow out one leg. Now, if you don't have a hole in it, it'll blow up. If you made a complete hollow thing with no exit hole, you're going to have trouble. The whole thing will probably blow up in the kiln. So what you do is you take your bioprobe, and at the bottom piece, you make a little hole, somewhere, and it won't show up. There's usually a way to make an opening somewhere in your piece. So all you need is to make sure that wherever you have a hollow body, you have a way that the clay can exit, the air and the water can exit, the steam. It's steam, I guess. Mm-hmm. Any other question? And then I can make my details. I can totally put hair on her, him. I can put the eyeballs in.
So what's the time window on being able to do this? I know Denise talked about leather hard. It's a phrase when I watch reality shows about ceramics. So what's your time window? And then I'm curious too about connecting them to the pots that you throw. So is that also a delicate time window? So the connection is the same when you connect to a pot as when you connect the two headpieces together?
Yeah. So okay, if I'm working in a real hurry, I would make a doll out of this, and I would just not use a lot of water, and I would hollow it out in an hour. I'd just leave it, walk away, and I'd hollow it out, and I'd be really careful. You can't squish it hard. Those cupies were formed and basically hollowed in one whole evening, but I came back 2 days later to start doing detail, and then they've been sitting for a week or two, just to the longer your piece sits under plastic, the better the clay melds to each other. You really are like tenderly nurturing it and hoping that the molecules and the clay and everything just starts going together. So covering it in plastic is the best thing you can do, because then it starts to sweat and the plastic will get all wet, and I'll turn the plastic around so that it'll keep drying out the piece, but it pulls the moisture out from the inside.
How long can you leave it under plastic and still have it workable? Because it sounds like once you start a piece, you're committed for the next few days.
Oh, you are. And I've ruined pieces. I've pushed it to like a month.
Oh, wow.
Months, but you want to get it to the almost done if you're going to wait for a couple months. If I sort of start a piece and then forget about it, even if it's in this plastic box with plastic on it, it's going to start to ruin. But you can put a wet sponge in there and that'll help.
Okay.
So keep it moist. But yeah, I've ruined so many pieces in the old days. But now I'm in the studio almost every day. So I'm keeping track of my children. I'm not forgetting about them. So it's pretty cool. Are there other questions?
Anybody else unmute to ask questions or put them in the chat? Bridget had asked earlier on if you do anything with your testers, the test pieces that you make.
No, because here, yeah, I reference them all the time. Like I can say like, ew, I don't like this one like this. This is rose, but I don't think I put it on heavy enough, but some reds don't do as well. But, oh, I like this pink. You can mix them together. Like I might try mixing the red with the pink and see what I get. They're a little bit like acrylic paints. So you can mix and match things. But yeah, I just love making test things. So no, I don't sell them because I'm really lazy too. Most of the time I don't test and I might ruin stuff.
They look like buttons. I see the
No,
little.
I thought about that.
Yeah, I would put 2 holes and put buttons in.
Yeah,
Dawn
but
has a question.
Dawn,
yeah.
when do you put the wire in for the so that the pieces can move?
Oh, that's after they've been fired all the way. So the first thing is you have to fire it to make it stoneware. You have to bisque it. So the bisque is about at 1800 degrees approximately. And then you can put more colors and oxides and washes and glaze on it. Then you fire it again more at like 2300. And then when it's cool, you see if it works or not. And they don't always work. It's funny too. And sometimes you mix and match. Like I have this body here and I have this head, and she was designed for the very large head. She's going to be a fortune telling doll. But I also have this smaller head, which I like. And I might decide to use the smaller head. I don't know.
It's very Rodin. You know, that's how Rodin worked, right?
Yeah, he did. I love Rodin.
I thought you had the book of Rodin.
He's my guy. Even though he was a misogynist and he was a trickster, he made people pay him for work that he never gave them. He made them wait for the gates of hell forever.
Yeah.
The gates of hell are one of my favorite things. I've seen them at Stanford, that one of the casts of them, and they're just great.
Yeah, I noticed the book that you had. And I also, I do want to ask you if other people have questions too, but I see your Faust poster right there. And it's like,
I love
deal before you come into the studio. Is that you? Are you like Robert Johnson?
Well, that's John Frame. I can't remember the artist who did the set and the costumes. And there's a sad story on that. I bought tickets to go see this opera and I was so excited, and I kept thinking it was on Saturday night and it was on Friday night. And I got all ready and we got ready to go, and I looked at my tickets. We were all dressed up and it was for the night before.
Oh man.
I am so heartbroken. And I'm very embarrassed that I can't remember his name. I think it's John Frame. And he had a show at the Portland Art Museum. He makes little puppets and weird guys. He's one of my favorites. And I also like Van Briggle, who did pottery around the turn of the century, sort of art pottery, worked for Rookwood for a while. I'm very, and the dolls at the Mary Hill Museum, just great inspiration. The Theatre de la Mode, they were the dolls that they made costumes for right after World War II, when they're saying, France isn't dead, it's just recovering. And the dolls were like this big, and they had haute couture outfits complete. And they went on tour all over the world. You know, Chanel made things, their sets by Cocteau. You can see those at Mary Hill Museum. They're just great. I think, Kelsey, didn't we go see those together? I think, I can't remember.
Don't remember that.
Okay, maybe we didn't do that, but I've always wanted, that's something I'm going to do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I just wrote it down. Yeah, for sure.
So, are there more questions? Because I want to hand it
I have
over.
a question.
Yeah.
Do you fire your own work? Do you have a kiln?
Oh, yes. And I have a kiln because my mom bought it for me. Thank you, Phil.
Nice.
Yeah, she bought it for
Thank
me.
you to all of us for buying Dawn a kiln.
And the hardest thing is you have to have the electricity brought up to the right, it has to be a certain thing. And I'm really good at talking technical stuff. Your electricity has to be just right. But yeah, so she paid for me to have an upgrade on my electrical box, and it's in the garage. So I throw in the backyard, I work in my attic, and I fire in my garage. So, and I have a scut kiln, and I love it. And it's got a computer, and all I do is press these little buttons. So it's great.
I have a related question. Have you ever done any raku?
Yes. I almost blew myself up with that once. It was terrible. We didn't light it. The gas was going. We didn't know, and we went to light it, and the whole thing, like the bucket flew over. I mean, it was like scary. So but yes, I used to do raku, but raku figures break. I had terrible. In college, I made a whole series of circus people. They're all sitting in shards in my backyard because they will last for a little while and then they break.
What is raku?
Raku is it's an earthenware ancient process where you take low fire clay and you fire it in a kiln it's not even a kiln. We had a trash can with a tank of gas hooked up to it and a little burner. And you'd get it really hot for a while, really fast. You'd fire it like in less than an hour. And then you take it out of that can and you put it in something and you throw a lot of newspaper or wood shavings and it all smokes it up. It's this really cool atmospheric firing, but it makes beautiful, fragile work. So it's not for me.
Actually, you can, I'm just looking it up here. You can go back on the website to our August 2020 artist talk when it's not exactly raku, but Rebecca Arthur demonstrated pit firing, which is a similar thing. And she's kind of gone into the chemistry of it too, with, you know, using different materials, coffee grounds, banana peels, and they leave a different, very subtle color differences depending on what things are in them. So yeah, if you go to our website and go to events and look at the past events, August 2020, and Rebecca had a great, she's another one who only works at this time of year. She can't work in the summer because you can't have pit fires in your backyard in the summertime. So I'm sure she's busy working now. We're hoping that we'll get some new work from her too in the gallery when she's finished with those. But I don't want to cut, unless anybody has some, if you have further questions, put them in the chat. And then, you know, Dawn can kind of answer from the chat because I do want to go to Gia. I don't see her there. Gia, are you there?
And I see lots of my friends here. So if you guys all know my emails, just ask me questions. We can Zoom privately too. Oh, thank you, Kelsey. Thank you. Yeah, so this is really fun. It wasn't scary at all.
I absolutely love hearing artists always say that they're scared to do this. And then you know, I think you're in your comfort zone. Once you just start talking about the thing you do, there you are, you know? Yeah. And I loved hearing your influence and seeing those things. And I learned stuff too. So thank you. There's Gia, she came back. Okay. So
well, I was sitting at the computer watching Dawn do her thing and it was awesome.
So the thing, I keep focusing on the fact that you have a mouse on a surface you use for clay. So as a
no, it's I lose equipment all the time. Like it's really, I see clay dust all over my Chromebook right now. It's like, but that's the life of a ceramic artist. And clay dust, you got to be careful.
Yeah, my studio is covered with bits of wax everywhere because it just flies all over the place. I have a special, I have an iPad down there that I won't use anywhere else because it's covered with bits of wax. So we all end up with that. So Gia, we will switch. Thank you, Dawn. And we'll switch over to Gia. I'm going to unpin Dawn and switch us to Gia. So you'll be pinned, Gia, in addition to sharing your screen if you want to share your screen, or you can just do like this.
So I'm going to go to the computer and see if I can do that because Dawn inspired me. So while Dawn was talking, I was watching, and then I went and I took some pictures around here because I didn't plan anything, and that was the whole idea, right? So how do you share your, oh, wait, I think,
down at the
hang
bottom.
on. Oh, no, I just made it go full. Hang on, I'm gonna share. That's not it either. How do you do it? Oh, this is
Just at the bottom.
Oh yeah, okay, hang on, exit. Hang on. Ooh, share screen, there it is. So, yes, there we go. I guess it's the desktop, but there's a
giant, it is desktop. Do desktop.
There's a giant exclamation point and a triangle, and that looks dangerous.
Oh,
like
are you on a computer or a tablet?
I am on a computer.
Oh.
So what does it say? I might not be able to do it.
Sometimes if you have a memory issue or power issue, it might not let you do it.
Okay, well, I don't know if it's gonna let me do it. But nonetheless, I did take some pictures in here. I have like oh my gosh, you guys. Hang on. Okay, whatever, I couldn't really show that. So
You just have to come to the gallery to see Gia's work.
I know. Well, I mean, I have some back here. I have a little, like, this used to be a massage studio. So, you know what, I'm just gonna, it used to be a massage studio, and this was 2 rooms that I'm standing in right here. And they had a reception area in the front where it's kind of used to be a gallery, but now it's more like a storage area for all my paintings. So, but also I have a bunch of them back here. I have a lot because we haven't had any shows. So Side Street has a bunch. I just finished this one like a couple weeks ago. And usually I paint live flowers at least as long as they're alive. And that's about a week. This is like a week and a half with these. They're dead. But it's almost done. So, and this is like a smaller painting than I usually do. I'm usually doing a 24. This is 24 by 24. I usually do, these are 30 by 40. I have
They're
like
on wood panels, right? Not on canvas.
Well, some of them these are canvas because wood panels get really heavy at that size. And to be honest, the art supply where I get them was out of pretty much everything. So I just had to improvise. This is a panel. This is a 36 by 36. Yeah, I really thought I don't know how to use Zoom. My children are good at it.
This is great. We're just sitting here with you, and your studio is beautiful.
Yeah, oh, thank you. So then, yeah, I just have this is the slideshow. Here you go. We have a slide right here. just imagine a little arrow over to the side. Also, oh my God. Oh yeah, oh my gosh. So 30 by 40s, I'm getting a little backed up in here. I'm literally drowning in paintings over here, and you guys have 11. So it's like, this is another one. This is a heavy canvas. It might as well be a panel because it's got this structure back there. There's a painting I did over Christmas. I had my florist do the Christmas pickle ornaments in the arrangement. I don't know. How long do you show a slide? Like a minute? No, like a second. And there's one back here. I like this one. This is one of my favorite ones, but I kind of have to rephotograph some of these. So these are on canvas just because that's what they had. And if they have panels, I'll do that because the paper, when I glue it down, to be honest, reacts better. It doesn't get as folds and stuff. And it's okay that it has folds. That doesn't bother me, but anyway, so I think my paint might've dried, but I was going to show my streaming setup, but I didn't think this one through. My son's in Zoom school and he's intense. And I just finished a couple of college classes and I was really excited about not having to do it anymore. So anyway, this is a storage. I have a lot of paintings in here. So I'm working on this one and I have this really cool setup where I have 2 camera angles. So sometimes I stream and I don't know if that's working. Hang on, wait. Oh, it's black. I do that a lot. Hang on. There's a painting again. So I had the palette out and it kind of dried because I had it out a long time ago. Also, this painting's almost done. I just gonna maybe hopefully finish it. I mean, I've been live streaming and doing all sorts of weird since COVID. I was like, I have had people in the studio to paint flowers with me before, and I think everyone's kind of not doing that right now. I think we're not allowed to, but also, I don't know where I was going with that. Also, oh man. Oh geez, this is just, yeah. Dawn, you did such a good job. Maybe I should have written a script or something.
It's because I'm overly worried about everything all the time. So I've been stressing about this.
Oh, well, I couldn't tell you stressed. I thought it looked really natural and you were just right at home there and I really enjoyed it. So I was like, yeah, this is getting to that point. It's one of my smaller ones. The flowers I'm going to start, I'm going to try even smaller because Dawn inspired me about smaller work and people who don't have a lot of wall space and do that kind of thing, I guess. So I have a 12 by 12. It's all gessoed here. And what do you call it? What was I going to say about that? the big flowers, it's kind of hard to like put that all in. So I have these little teeny ones. I was going to show you a picture. These smell really good. I'm sorry I can't share that with you, but this is going to be.
Smell-o-vision on Zoom. That'd be nice.
Well, just imagine the rose smell. There's only 2 of them. And it's like, wow. They're covering up the dead water smell over there too. So I didn't ever think about that before as like a good thing to do, is to bring new ones in and on top of the ones I'm still finishing, because then you can get that canceled out. So, I mean, I guess I could dump the water, but I don't. Because I'm like, oh, it's one more day. I'm going to be finished. It's one more day. I don't like what I put on there. So, I don't know. This is just pretty much what I do. And I don't really think about it a lot. I just do it. And yeah.
So, Gia, while you're doing that, Bridget has commented, because she's in the gallery every week, and that when people come in, one of the things they really comment on, I mean, everyone loves them, but they comment on your backgrounds. And I know we talked about that at the Tuesday opening too.
Oh, yeah.
So what comes first? When you have that blank canvas, do you do your flowers and then figure out, because it's the color on color choices that you make for your backgrounds, I think, are so cool, and the shapes of the backgrounds.
Well, to be honest, the flowers are first, and then like I'll get the collage on. I wish I had like one in let me show example one I have. Oh, where did I put it? It's in there. It's somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Your collage element to these are just awesome when you see them up close.
Ah, okay.
It starts like this, and then
Collage.
I'll start like painting around it and or painting in it. And then if I like a color that went around it, I usually start around the edges. And it goes through a lot of really bright colors. And this last one I finished, this one, I mean, they all turn out okay, or else I wouldn't have them finished. But this one, I'm a slideshow now. This one, I feel like the colors in the background really, really worked.
Yeah.
Like, and they used to be blue, like these peachy colors used to be blue. And I knew it was wrong, but I left it for like a couple of days. And then all of a sudden it just kind of happened. I went in with like a red and white and purple and like, oh man. So it worked really well, but I'm getting better slowly.
That really makes the difference too, right? If you had done that peach first, it wouldn't look the same. You have to go through the layers, I think. There's always a hint of something left with that underpainting, I think.
And I usually put collage around the corners and then I try to like leave it, but sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. You know, you just never know. So this one, it's coming. I like to hit it with my brush for some reason, just to like smack it into shape. And luckily I don't get put holes in it. I haven't done that in a really long time. So I don't know.
So
I mean,
they don't tell you what it needs. You just start smacking it with the brush until it speaks to you, I think.
well, yeah, you know, you just gotta into submission. I'll show you guys some paper too. This is some of the paper I use like for the leaves, and I'll show you my messy flat file. Hang on, I can fix the camera angle because this is gonna be good. I can't let's see. That look weird? There you go. Total mess in here. So it's color coded. I don't know if you can see that well, but it's such a mess. Well, are we not supposed to say mess? We're supposed to say
Abundance. It's an abundance.
oh, that's good. I like that. We're gonna use that. We're gonna go with that. And so it's color coded. Some of them I have more of than others. I go through a lot of green because of the leaves. Then there's the black and white area, you know, and then stuff falling out as I open these. I don't even know what that is. That's like sketchbooks or something. Oh, goodness. And then that's slanted. Wait. Oh, hang on. I think we're at here. Sorry, I don't want to make you nauseous, but I had to make sure I could show what I'm doing. So then there's color coded. There's more over here. I hoard paper. Okay. So this is the red orange drawer. And then I keep little bits in these little tubs. but I don't usually use them. And these are so dead. They're so dead. We're close though. We're close to being finished here. I don't know, like, yeah, I didn't really have a plan. I thought this was at 1 o'clock, but it wouldn't have made any difference.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. And, I think the way you work, it's not planned work, right? So it just comes together. And that's sort of how you showed it to us today. I love it. I wish we could see, thank you for showing that one with just the collage, because the collage elements, it's hard to tell on here, but if you know Gia's work, or if you've been in the gallery, or go look at our Tuesday, you can go back on the front page of the website right now, you can see the slideshow, our Tuesday opening, where we had some close-ups that really showed these collage elements on there. And I think that's just what makes them, and your balance of, so you start out with that collage layer, right? Then
Yep.
do you continue to add more collage stuff? Or are you
No, not anymore. Like I'll show you guys the old background one too. I used to do just all collage and then figure out what it was going to be. And now that I've figured out it's just flowers, I don't have to really do that. But this is all covered. Like you can maybe see it's kind of bumpy.
Mhm.
So I used to do that and then I would add more. But now I think I try not to add too much because it does get really lumpy and most of the paper gets painted out anyway. So I just do the flowers and I leave spaces in between the leaves and the flowers and everything so I could get the paintbrush in. But like this one, they start out with, I should do one that's just like, so they start out with just circles usually. And I sometimes I've gone in and put other colors in but it always just gets painted over. So I just don't really do it anymore. And this vase was also, but I had a good idea for it, but it just kind of went away from me. So I painted glazes over it. And now it is what it is. So, just.
You do just one painting from each arrangement? Will you ever get another painting from the same arrangement?
Well, they don't live that long. I might. I mean, I was thinking, Dawn and I were talking, it might be fun to like take a section out and do a smaller one of that. But right now I'm going to try with the little ones over there that smell really good. Like I'm going to try this on a different scale, like scaling down the vase and scaling down the surface. So it all works.
Like tiny bouquets instead of a vase full. Yeah. So when
I'm going to try it.
florist, do you go in and ask, like, oh, I want to paint this flower this time, or do you just take whatever your florist wants to give you, or how does that work?
I am at the mercy of designer's choice, they call it. So they just do whatever and I just go with it. And I have said before, oh, can I have something that's a square? Like when we had the great panel shortage of 2020, I needed to do the shapes, I needed to govern that. But now it's like, just do what you want. Like yesterday, I just walked in with these ones. Let me show you these ones. I like to hold them because they just smell so. I'm going to smell them. So apparently she put freesia roses, tulips, and some orchids in. I just picked these three, like these tulips and these roses, and then she just put it all together. And I'm really excited to work on it. I thought I'd be there, but I'm not there. I'm still here.
Are you a one at a time painter?
Well, lately, yeah. I kind of like to get my obsession over with till I start on the next one. Like I can't but I can let them go without finishing the edges.
Because even after the flowers are gone, you can still work on around the background and edge and all of that, right?
Well, they're gone now, but they're still there. It kind of helps with the form that's left. Like if I forgot some of the leaves, some of the leaves are still doing well. And that's usually the last thing that sometimes kind of pulls together,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the leaves form a nice, frame in there.
Gia,
They do.
can I ask a question, Gia?
Yes.
Do you ever take a photograph of something that you think might die and then paint from the photograph?
I have tried to paint from photographs and it doesn't work for me. I don't know why. It's like, I don't see as well as your average person anyway. So interesting that this works better for me, because if I had a photograph or a book or something, I could like hold it up closer and look at it, but the lighting just makes such a difference apparently that that doesn't work for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I love your live streams, Gia. I think they're just awesome. Gia's often painting in her studio and she's live on Facebook, and then you can catch them later, and they're just fun.
Oh,
They're
that's
on there.
terrific.
They're just like this. They're not really any different.
Do you do Zoom classes as well?
That's okay. So here's the idea. That's what I was thinking. I'll either, I want to make like a mini, I can do this myself for others class, like with this little arrangement that I keep pointing to that you can't see, and the little 12 by 12 that's over there. I kind of want to put that together as an online like mini thing that people can just download and do with their own supplies. And I would have to provide a photo for that because you can't really. But I did take a photo and I was going to show it, but I didn't. I don't know how to share a screen. So just imagine that those flowers. And so yeah, I'm trying to work that out, but that's a brand new thing that just popped up like last week.
Well, keep us posted because I think it would be super fun with you. I would take a class with you anytime.
I thought of doing a Zoom class. I could do it both ways. I was thinking of if I work it out and it looks good and then it feels good to do, I would do it maybe both ways, like live and then later, people could just, because I've seen artists have success with that and I think that would be kind of cool. So.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know anything, so I can't really teach you anything. It's just fun. Like we just have a good time. So and paint.
I think the thing that you teach, Gia, is, and having done other online classes too, and seeing how people are, and just been in classes, I think what you teach us is that you just do. I think there are so many people who are afraid of just do, and figure out how it's going to work out, and go over it if it didn't work, and sort of let it happen. And that is if you do that naturally, I know I do that, and clearly you do that, but for people that don't do that, that's a really hard thing to do, to just sort of let it happen and trust. It's a trust fall, right, with art supplies. But yeah, people do need, there's so many of those classes out there about unblock yourself, do this, do that, and it's for the people who can't just sit down and let it go.
I took those and they drove me crazy.
You already do.
I was just like, I'm not going to waste the money on that anymore. I'm just here. Okay, we're right here. And I think that's beautiful. And I do appreciate people that have the other way of doing it, but that is not that's not me.
Yeah. But seeing it happen and just, in your presence, I think it makes us trust ourselves a little bit. At least I feel that way.
Good.
Spencer noticed that artists have vision, artists have vision and often see what most don't. So, maybe that also applies to your working live, with live flowers instead of from photos. Because when they're in the photos, they're sort of already flattened, and that's one thing yours do come to us in the paintings. Any other questions from people?
I want to flatten them on my own. I don't need someone to do that.
So yeah, we are interested in some of these small paintings, and there's also we have in the gallery. Gia has printed beautiful greeting cards from her paintings. And we have those in the gallery, and we have a jigsaw puzzle, which I think is so appropriate because of the shapes that you have in your background. So one of the paintings that's in the gallery has a lovely little jigsaw puzzle, which I think is a cute gift to give to somebody maybe, or for yourself. But yeah, any other questions for Gia or Dawn? We can go back to everybody.
I want to say thank you to everyone who showed up. It looks like that might be my friend Spencer in Colorado, but I don't know. And I want to just say hello to everyone who came. And Jerry, nice to see you. So thank you. And Kelsey and Phil, everybody. So I did a
screenshot of the attendance list so you can see it later.
Cool.
See all this here. Yep. Everybody's saying, yes, it's me.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, both of you. Let me unpin Gia here so we can see everybody. And unpin, there's my cat. So we should be on just regular gallery view now. So thank you, Dawn and Gia, for letting us in your studios and letting us see your process. And they're different and yet they're the same. I love hearing people's inspirations and what gives them the pleasure of making art, why we make art. So thank you for everybody who came today. So stop by the gallery if you want. I think this has been running at the gallery too. And we'll be posting this later this afternoon. I'll post this on the website. So for people who want to see it again or share it with friends who couldn't make it. I guess that's it. Thank you. Come by the gallery today. And if not, we'll be open next Thursday. So this show goes through, well, the end of the month. It's like the 30th. What's the exact day? It'll end on a Sunday, whatever the last Sunday in March is.
I think it's the 28th.
28th? Okay, yeah, so the last day will be Sunday, excuse me, Sunday the 28th. Oh, Davis. Hi, Davis.
Yeah, hi, Davis.
Yeah, thank you everyone for participating and for coming. And we'll see you at the gallery soon in person. And we are open in person at the gallery. We just aren't doing our events in person yet. So thanks everybody. I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.
All right.